Henry Cumming came to Boldre in 1812 as a curate. He was worried about the growth of religious dissent amongst the Boldre parishioners, and that may explain why he made great effort to record dissenters in his notebooks. His main concern seems to have been the growth of the Baptist movement, which was then flourishing in the New Forest area. Before I enter a church, I like to look round the outside of it and walk amongst the gravestones. It helps me to get a feel for the place. The exact date of the origin of the Church of St. John the Baptist at Boldre will always remain the matter of some speculation, since there are 3 Saracen stones within the early foundations of the present church. It does seem at least possible that the site served as a place of worship as long ago as 2000 BC. For centuries, Boldre was the mother church of the southern New Forest, a situation which dated back to the 12th century. All that remains of the Norman stage of this building today is to be seen in the 3 easternmost arches of the south arcade with their piers. In the 13th century, the north chapel was built and named after Isabella de Fortibus, Countess of Devon. Although the fleur-de-lis window has disappeared, 3 armorial shields of great families connected to her can still be seen in a drawing of the window made in 1802. And there is evidence of a misalignment of the new walls by the builders on the easternmost of the extension's piers. The south porch also belongs to this period, and the trefoiled opening in the gable of the porch was originally a niche containing a statue, but now holds a window of St. Nicholas, patron saint of sailors. We enter through the 13th century porch, which is also part of the HMS Hood Memorial. HMS Hood was sunk in action against the Bismarck in 1941, and the many that served on her are remembered in a special memorial service at the end of May. Why Boldre? HMS Hood was the flagship of Vice Admiral Holland, who frequently worshipped at Boldre Church. As HMS Hood attacked, Bismarck opened fire, and a chance shot amidships set off a huge explosion, sinking the ship in 3 to 4 minutes. The loss of this famous ship, along with Vice Admiral Holland, Captain Ralph Carr and his fine crew, was a very grievous blow. 3 survived from the entire ship's company of 1,416. Ted Briggs, one of 3 survivors, here in the middle, remembers the day so well. The rest of the memorial can be found directly across the church opposite the doorway, at the northwest corner of the north chapel. The Hood painting is by the marine artist Montague Dawson, who lived at Milford-on-Sea. It is easy to miss this rather lovely window up above. Turn to kneel and offer a prayer in remembrance of those lost at sea. Lift one's heart and eyes, we will remember thee. In the 1270s, the nave was lengthened, with a corresponding south aisle to the present west wall, on which is this rather lovely stained glass window. The west window was inserted in 1864 and depicts faith, hope and charity. Just inside the west door is this intriguing pomme cross. The flags of the United States and of Canada are reminders of World War II. The American flag was presented by the US forces, who used Wolverhampton House as a rest centre during the war. The Canadian flag was presented in 1993 in memory of the Canadian airmen of the 405 Squadron, who flew from Beaulieu Airfield. Soon after 1300, in the 14th century, the chancel and lower part of the tower were built. In 1697, the buttress at the southwestern corner of the church was built, and the upper part of the tower was rebuilt in brick. A fine east window in memory of Eric de Mowbray and his son Richard. The pulpit was designed by Norman Shaw, a leading 19th century architect. It was given in memory of the Reverend Charles Shrub, who was vicar of this parish for 57 years, from 1817 to 1864. At one time there was a rood screen dividing the chancel from the nave. It might have looked something like this. The way up to the loft above was via this 15th century wooden doorway. These clear glass windows replaced the earlier clear diamond patterned glass panes. William Gilpin, vicar from 1777 to 1804, was responsible for much other work in the church. In the 19th century, 1855-ish, the chancel was completely rebuilt from a few feet above the ground and given a plaster ceiling. 25 years later, this ceiling was removed, revealing the wooden rafters. In the late 19th and 20th centuries, considerable restoration and renovation took place during this period, including the replacing of the whole of the plasterwork of the ceiling. The current and new vestry was extended in 1963. The wall tablet of John Kempe, who was MP for Lymington in 1640 and lived at Hayward Manor. Artist Creswell Hartley Desmond, who lived at Spout House on Pilly Hill, designed this magnificent lectern. This was then carved by his sister Phoebe Desmond. There is a memorial window to him in a window on the north wall. To one side is a memorial window to Gerald Burrard of Woolhampton. Over on the left, a window to his son, John Philip Burrard. I love these stained glass windows, especially when you catch the light just right. The Taylor window is in memory of Iona Taylor, Girl Guide, County Commissioner for Hampshire. Tracy Shepherd, youngest fellow of the Guild of Glass Engravers, was commissioned to produce a Millennium window. Her work of art was installed in April 2000. The detail is amazing. The meaning so beautiful. The MM on the root of the tree signifying the year 2000. These old bosses were repainted by Lorna Impey. She was able to remove 12 from off the ceiling, which she painted in her sitting room. The others she had to paint in situ, quite a feat. They are fascinating when studied in close-up. Very beautiful to see are the altar fabrics. The font is 15th century and at this time is decorated for Easter. Ledger stones are laid as flooring beside the organ, and up above, under the tower, is this majestic chandelier, made by Richard Bent, whose parents used to run the New Inn, or the Hobbler Inn as it is now. There are 8 bells in the tower. Recently the tower had to be strengthened, and the peal was then converted to be rung as a carillon. Harry Seacombe and TV crew paid a visit to Boldre Church on Palm Sunday one year. Recently the church held a service for animals. Pets of all descriptions filled the pews, whilst the horses and ponies peered in from the outside. Then our parish priest, Frank Willett, gave a blessing to the horses. May we depart in love and peace.